Well, good afternoon. Let's have a look at the markets picture. After a very roller coaster week, especially when we look at what was happening yesterday, we are seeing some positive reprieve creeping through the Asian markets. And this is on the back of what we saw yesterday with investors' concern about the inflation outlook, as well as what is happening from a global economic point of view. The growth picture seems to be in question at this particular point. Those concerns were filtering through in what we saw in the riskier assets such as the tech stocks as well as cryptocurrencies. But nonetheless, this morning, Asian markets looking a little bit better with the Nikkei up 2.6%. Hang Seng Index also in positive territory, up about 2.6% as well. Mainland Chinese markets following suit, higher as well. European markets picture climbing, looking to rebound. And of course, we did get comments from Fed Chair Jerome Powell during an interview saying that it's going to be quite difficult to get inflation under control, and he cannot promise a soft landing. And that's the question we've all been asking, at least for the past couple of months, whether the Fed is going to be able to tame inflation without necessarily hurting the economy. And that's something we're going to have to see. But nonetheless, locally, we did get some news from York Timber warning about revenue pressures, especially as they deal with a strike that has been going on at least now for the past 3 weeks. And we also had Q1 update from MTN reporting stronger growth in that share price, up about 1%. But to give us the latest in terms of the market dynamics, we are joined by Kabelo Tola, who is the portfolio manager at FNB. Kabelo, thank you so much for your time. So we're seeing that positivity going from Asian to European markets. Is it filtering through to our local markets, and can it last?
Yes, very good afternoon. Well, yes, it is filtering through into our markets in this particular session, up 0.8%. I think I've been hearing rumors of bargain hunting. Certainly, valuations probably haven't bottomed out, but people are maybe taking a view now and saying, stocks are certainly cheaper than where they were a month, year to date at this particular point. But the concerns that you and I have and the broad investment community certainly haven't dissipated.
If you to review the week that was, what are some of the key themes that stand out for you?
Certainly inflation. I'm sure we've exhausted that, but it is primarily our biggest concern. And earnings. Now, tech, you mentioned technology. I've seen the numbers out of Netflix, which for the first time in 10 years have shown a market decrease. Yes, a portion of that out of Russia and some of those sanctions. But really, tech and earnings and the weight they have with regards to the broader index or indices and how they filter onto our market. Of course, we've seen the rand starting to, well, it's been in weak territory for some time, but research suggesting that we shouldn't be as weak as we are, but certainly we're short of a catalyst at this point. So we're watching the rand quite closely as well.
The one thing, as I mentioned in my intro, following those comments from Jerome Powell yesterday talking about the difficulty it might be to rein in inflation, makes you then wonder whether that 75 basis points that he said they're not currently considering, whether, we might have to bring that option on the table, or at least the Fed might have to open up options in order to bring back inflation to 2%?
I think they're going to have to consider various options. From the last print that we've seen this week, 8.3% CPI, they're watching a whole host of factors: wages, shelter, and energy, which are all very volatile at this point. I think they're probably sitting and discussing whether the target 2% is achievable and over what period. And as we had discussed, clearly not clearly, but certainly the transitory discussion is one that's taken the back burner. What's important is certainly the impact this will have on growth.
Of the economic scenarios that a lot of the market participants are concerned about, and rightfully so, which argument is growing louder? Is it the recession argument, or is it stagflation?
Certainly, it's leaning towards recession. Most times in the last over the long term, when rates have been going up, the markets have either tended to move sideways or to come down. Now, it also a factor to consider is the trajectory at which rates are being increased, and this is happening in a very convoluted environment where, of course, we've got Ukraine. We certainly have the energy concerns with regards to Europe and China. We can't, forget about the Chinese lockdown that we're currently seeing. So, yes, I think, it certainly is trying times for investors at this particular point.
Locally, there's a theme that I've picked up. So we're seeing a lot of companies, unbundling. We had Grand Parade Investments, we had Zeta, we had RMI. And then one wonders whether value unlock seems to be the theme for the next, these days at least. What do you make of it?
No, certainly. I think there's been quite a host of unbundlings. As you rightly mentioned, even Investec. And there was talk with Telkom and its mast business. I think investors, the investment community, certainly with regards to management of these holding companies, they're looking to unlock value. And this is probably one of the key decisions they can make with regards to unbundling, to unlocking value. Certainly in instances where the assets are listed, meaning investors can go and buy these shares for themselves. And I think that they're questioning whether it's justifiable to hold them in these holding companies, and investors are wondering about the management fee to manage these particular assets on behalf of investors, and I think you're going to see more of it.
We've got about a minute or so left. In terms of news or events that you're paying attention to, at least going into next week, what's on your screen right now?
Well, I'm quite focused on the rand. I think we did mention the mining production, which was quite disappointing at this lot yesterday, as well as the manufacturing numbers. It's about earnings. Really, it's about earnings and the impact this has on valuations, and whether the markets are indeed taking a break now, and if this continues into the next week.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Thank you so much for your time. Of course, that is Kabelo Tola, who is a portfolio manager at F&B, giving us his perspective on the latest when it comes to the markets. That is it from me. We'll be back on Monday, and of course, keeping an eye on those screens and trying to find some glimmer of green. Until next time, goodbye.